Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is March 9th, 2026, 9 days away from our 6-year community anniversary. What a beautiful thing it is to be part of this community with all of you. To see you, Cynthia and John, Lydia and Talia. Nice to see you, my friend. Arlene and Jonathan, Carl, Boker Tov, sending you love wherever you are. Hope that you and yours are safe and well. Let's say a few more good mornings so we can say hi, and then we'll sing a bracha. We'll learn some Torah. Ivy, nice to see you. Nick, welcome, my friend. Rosa, sending love to you in Malta. Deborah, hope that you are well. Michelle, welcome. Welcome, welcome. All right, we'll say a few more hellos. We'll sing a bracha, and we'll get started. Here we go. Natan, sending love to you in Poland. Thank you for joining us. Linda and Sunday. Adrian, good to see you. Judy and Arlene. Hi, Jack. Hi, Barry. Hi, Scott. Hi, everybody. It's good to see all of you. Moshe Tzvi, my son. Nice to see you, my love. All right, welcome, everybody. Boker Tov. We get to start a new Torah portion. In fact, we get to start 2 new Torah portions today. It's Parshat Vayakhel Pekudei, with which we end the book of Exodus, of Shemot. And among the challenges right now is focusing on the text, given all of the texts that we receive, be they headlines, be they information from friends. It is really complicated to face the world these days. And just this morning, there was reported an attack on a synagogue in Belgium. And the response of the Jewish community seemed to really echo what I learned firsthand while visiting Sydney, while visiting Bondi Beach with my sister and brother-in-law and meeting the community there, which was an absolute sense in the Jewish community that the surrounding authorities did not take seriously the threats of anti-Semitism, despite demonstrations of its pain and its implication for a very long time. And so what I don't want to do is get lost in those headlines, but it wouldn't be an authentic facing of Torah to ignore the reality that we live in, that we endure all over the world. As Rosa just pointed out, how fitting that it is time to say chazak. Whenever we end a book of the Torah reader pauses, the community says chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek, be strong, and together we are strong. And then the reader themselves responds with the same words. It is fitting, because strength is needed these days, not only within the Jewish community, but as a Jewish community, it's important for us to emphasize that our world has been shaking and continues to shake, and therefore our response needs to be mindful. The way we read Torah changes because our eyes are affected by the world as they are supposed to be. We are told to focus on the world and to focus on our souls so that we can be part of rebuilding the world wherever it needs and celebrating it because there is so much beauty to be seen. Let me just pause because on Instagram I have my son Moshe and my daughter Ariel, and on Facebook I have my Ima. Hi everybody, I'm glad to share this with you. Right to the text. I wanted to focus on a very minute part of a very dense double parsha. As we shared a few weeks ago, the last 5 Torah portions of the book of Exodus really deal with the construction of the Mishkan. It's a remarkable thing to see 4 of the 5 final Torah portions deal with the intricate instructions of how to build a portable tabernacle. And if you're like me, sometimes those kinds of instruction manuals are very dense and difficult to get through. It's one of the reasons I appreciate how technology and engineering has led to a more intuitive way of putting things together. Of course, it's also complicated because I should know more about how things work. Well, the entire tribe of Levi was dedicated to understanding how to construct the holy. And here we are in this week's double portion. Vayakhel Pekudei. I'll just read 2 verses from the first Torah portion. If you'd like to look it up later, it's chapter 39 of the book of Exodus, verses 25 and 26, where we hear details of the hem of the robe that the high priest would wear. The Hebrew is Vaya'asu fa'amonei zahav tahor, vayitnu et ha'pa'amonim betoch harimonim, al shulei ha'me'il saviv betoch harimonim, pa'amon verimon, al shulei ha'me'il saviv, lisharet ka'asher tziva Adonai et Moshe. Here's the translation. They also made bells of pure gold and attached the bells between the pomegranates, all around the hem of the robe between the pomegranates. Bell and pomegranate, all around the hem of the robe for officiating in, as God had commanded Moshe. And what a fascinating thing to hear about the fabulous uniform that the high priest would wear. It was flashy. I don't know what fashion looked like in the desert, but this certainly was counterculture. Because wherever people were in the desert, they were likely not wearing glorious pomegranates and bells. So what was the purpose? Remember what I shared. These are the last 2 portions in the book of Exodus. But 3 and 4 Torah portions ago, we heard these instructions before with the purpose. And what was it? Because it would make a sound. Wherever the high priest would go, it would make a sound. And somehow this, in the earlier Torah portion, would protect the priest from being killed. We don't quite understand explicitly from the text how that is so, but we can surmise both from the verses and from later parts of the Torah that if you enter into an encounter with a holy without being mindful, you were taking your life in your hands. And we know this on deep and real levels, emotional levels, God forbid sometimes physical levels, if we are not mindful in those places where life is more intense and vulnerable, we are taking a great risk. What if the way to counter or to address that risk, what if the process of mindfulness itself could be beautiful? What if bell and a pomegranate and a bell and a pomegranate are beautiful ways of encountering this world with all of its complexity? You know, we see these things. You might be unaware, but we see these bells and pomegranates. We see them every time the Torah is taken out. The Torah is often adorned in Ashkenazi and in Sephardi circles. I'm curious if the varieties of how Torahs are constructed all have this, but they are taken out with ornate design and often with crowns, and those crowns often have bells, and sometimes the designs have pomegranates. And the beauty of this should be understood as a borrowing or as an adaptation of what the priest would wear. Wherever the priest would go, these sounds would happen and people knew where to turn. In that way, the priest was never able to walk around anonymously. And that's complicated. Anyone who has served as a leader or is connected with someone who has served as a leader understands the complicated nature of being in a fishbowl. But let's also think about it in this way. The leader always knew that that's how they were walking through the world too. If you walk around, friend, even if you don't think of yourself as a leader, each of us channels a certain amount of divine power. None of us really has more than the other. We're all created in the divine image. Wherever you go, you walk with the majesty of God's divine image shining through you. Even sometimes when you don't feel that. It's always true. The rabbis taught that with the destruction of the temple in 70 CE, the Holy of Holies was relocated from the temple to the human heart, which means everywhere you go, you are part of that divine manifestation, and you are both encountering yourself and others. What if the mindful way to do that is to be cautious too, and to celebrate your own beauty, to know that as you walk through the world, you can conduct yourself like a high priest, being part of what the Torah calls a mamlechet kohanim, a kingdom of priests. Wherever it is that you carry with you, be it on the inside or be it something that you're holding, it is meant to be a bell and a pomegranate, a bell and a pomegranate, because this world can be deeply intense. And frighteningly, that makes us vulnerable so often. But who isn't that, my friends? Who isn't that? If we are all the high priest, and if we are all carrying the Holy of Holies within, we are always both vulnerable and spectacularly beautiful. To go through the world with that kind of awareness can feel weighty. But it should. It should. Because you carry great substance, an untold blessing, no matter who you are, no matter what you sometimes might even not think of yourself. You are a vessel for the divine. You are an eruption of God in this world. Think of all the good you can do. And of course, as we see modeled in so many headlines, God forbid, the harm we could cause, either intentionally or by not exercising our own capacity for blessing forward. A bell and a pomegranate. A bell and a pomegranate. That's what you are. That's what walking through this world includes, even if sometimes we are not aware. The high priest didn't have the luxury of not being aware. That jangly sound wherever they would go, that was an immediate reminder that they had to be mindful. Well, friends, let every step you take listen to your own footfall. If there's still snow around you, listen to the crunch of snow. If there's a bird around you, let them be the reminder. I'm seeing birds right outside my window for the first time since the weather got a little bit warmer. This world is waiting for you to give what is uniquely yours, which flows through you from the source of being, and to all of our family, by which I mean all of creation right now. Just imagine what you could do. Imagine if you allowed that to pour through you. How many different parts of this world you could tend to. Even, as Lydia just wrote, even sometimes when we are weary of outside influences. Sienna's sharing that there are peeper frogs near her. Amen. Amen. Friends, as you take your next steps, as we all take our next steps through this world, let's consider the way that we could serve as a bell and a pomegranate, a spectacular manifestation of the divine. In a world sorely in need of blessing, we can each bring a part of the response. We are each part of Mamlechet Kohanim, that kingdom of priests, and the Holy of Holies go where we go. That's a blessing. I wish you strength as you take that next step. because boy, is that a weighty responsibility. But I also hope that you realize how beautiful you are as you take that next step. You're very beautiful. Every one of us is. How can we not be? We're created in the image. Let's send our hearts to the east, friends. Let's sing. Kol hod balevav pnima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia od lo avda tikvateinu התקווה בת שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ Zion Virushalayim. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends.